What's going on, good people? So, right now we're trying to figure some things out, and I'm waiting on them to call me back right here. Um, I got word that it was today, but not today. I'm sorry, I got word that it's supposed to be tomorrow. But what I actually did, I was going to do a different live, and I clicked on the wrong one, and yet at the same time, just by accident, by clicking on the wrong one, it appears that there was a countdown, which I said something to them about, and now you can see that it stopped and it says June 5th, 1600, and they're waiting. So I'm thinking that that might have been a major boo boo right there, because even on the channel, there's people over there in the chat and they're trying to figure things out. So anyway, I end up sending an email right now, real quick, and a text to see if they're going to respond to let us know, because there's a good chance if I refresh this, they may flip it to right here at the bottom that it says waiting on Donald Trump, June 5th, 2024 at 1600, which is 4 o'clock. And according to this, you guys, I think y'all can see the live right here. You can see the live right here off to the side. It looks as if people are there doing the same exact thing too, if you see them over there in the chat. But if not, if they respond to me and say, oh, we made a mistake, we got the wrong date mixed up, yada yada, peanut butter, because you can see clearly that it says in Phoenix, Arizona, June 6th, which is tomorrow. And if it is, I'll just shut this down, even though I was supposed to click on a different link anyway to show you guys the interview he did with Greg Kelly last night. So I might just flip over to that video that I'm supposed to be doing anyway and just play that out and let you guys hear their portion of it. So let me see. I don't know. Let's see if I make this. If it does, if they do respond and it does happen to pop on, I will share that part with you guys. But again, just bear with me on that. I'll go behind the scenes and I'll play something else for you guys. So give me a second here. Y'all gonna be like, what the heck? Yeah, hold on. I haven't got no response yet, but I am gonna give you guys a different video to look at. Where are we at? There we go.
There's never been anything like this. This judge is so conflicted, and I'm not allowed to talk about it because I'm under a gag order. Can you believe that?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man. I thank every last one of you for taking your time out of this late evening to view this video. But like I tell you guys, when I get info, shout out to Greg Kelly, who interviewed me. Information got sent over to me, and I'm going to post this to you. He had an exclusive interview with President Trump after the verdict, and Trump has some words to say about what's currently going on with him. And ladies and gentlemen, when it all comes down to it, Trump is being held on a gag order, which to me violates the Constitution. No matter how you try to wrap around it, he does. But y'all don't want to hear from me. Before y'all do anything, make sure you guys hit this like button right here so that this video can be circulated within the YouTube algorithm and that my content can consistently be recommended to you. And also, don't forget to follow me on the platforms you see up here and down there. And without further ado, here's the interview.
So the conviction, they're running around convicted felon. It doesn't resonate. People know what that connotes, and it doesn't fit for you. Is it possible that this is a net positive? And maybe it's too soon, but a lot of money is coming in, a lot of support. Is it a net positive? Is there any way that that conviction could be a net positive?
Well, they're nasty people. They're crooked as hell. They're nasty, vicious people. And it was a trial that everybody said shouldn't have been brought, including Bragg didn't want to bring it. Nobody wanted to bring it until I decided to run, and then was beating everybody by a lot, and then was beating Biden by a lot in the polls. But, it's a very terrible thing. It's a terrible precedent for our country. Does that mean the next president does it to them? That's really the question. I said on a recent show that I did, a good show, good people. You would like these people, even though they're competitors. But I was talking about, when I'd mentioned Hillary's name, they'd all scream, lock her up, lock her up. And everybody got a kick out of it and all. But I was at UFC the other night, as you saw, Greg, and I saw fighters that hated each other with a passion like you've never seen. For 3 months, they're just going crazy about how much they hate. And then the fight's over and they're hugging and they're kissing in the middle of the ring. And I said, wouldn't it really be bad, with like, as an example, Hillary, with the hammering of her cell phones and all of the things she did. But wouldn't it be terrible to throw the president's wife and the former Secretary of State? Think of it, the former Secretary of State, but the president's wife into jail. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing? But they want to do it. So, it's a terrible, terrible path that they're leading us to. And it's very possible that it's going to have to happen to them. But I personally thought, and I really did, I got a lot of credit from a lot of people. And some people said I should have done it. But, would have been very easy to do it. But I thought it would be a terrible precedent for our country. And now, whoever it may be, you're going to have to view it very much differently. This is a bad, bad road that they're leading us down to as a country. And this is the third world countries. You take a look at this fake trial. I did nothing wrong. They called legal expense a legal expense. That's what it's called. If you pay a lawyer a legal expense, a legal fee or a legal expense, and then you mark it in the books as a legal expense. A bookkeeper did that. I had no idea what you marked it as because it didn't matter to me other than I wanted to be marked right. So in the ledger, she said that a legal expense was a legal expense. And basically that's the crime. And nobody can believe it. This is what, and they talk about like a manipulation of the books. That's not manipulation. That's actually, what else would you call it? It's a terrible thing that they've done, and it cannot be allowed to stand. And hopefully the appellate courts will get involved and straighten out, because it's been so bad for the New York judicial system, like I think nothing else. And companies are going to be leaving because they already are leaving. And no company is going to move in if they're going to be subject to that. And then Letitia James and Judge Engoron, where he comes up with a ruling that Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million when it's worth, maybe 100 times more, 50 to 100 times more. But that was good for his narrative. And they came out with a phony opinion because everything was perfect. In fact, our expert, highly respected, one of the most, from the Stern School of Business, one of the most respected people, the judge treated him so disrespectfully, very much like this judge treated we had an expert, we had the number one person on elections, and essentially he wasn't allowed to testify.
It's amazing.
And nobody can believe it. That's one of many infractions, one of many terrible things that happened. So we have him waiting for a long time, for days. And he's the number one, Brad Smith, the number one most respected. I think he was the head of the Federal Elections Commission, actually. But he knows more about election law than anybody. And the judge didn't want him to testify. And the judge didn't want Bob Costello to testify. And frankly, I heard that Bob Costello, when it came to the indictment, they didn't want to take his text messages. They didn't want him having anything to do, because they didn't want him going in and convincing a grand jury not to indict. But nobody, and you know this better than anybody, nobody wanted to bring this case. And if they brought it, it could have been brought 7 years before. They tried to rush it, and they did. They rushed the jury. And of course, it's in an area, we asked for a venue change and we asked for a judge change, because the judge is the most conflicted person ever to sit. There's never been anything like this. This judge is so conflicted. And I'm not allowed to talk about it because I'm under a gag order. Can you believe it?
Well, you can't talk about the prosecutors, so we'll give a quick shout out to them, because they watch you like a hawk. They're trying to catch you in some sort of violation. Can't believe the gag order. This is Colangelo, who used to be the number 3 ranking guy in the Department of Justice. I think we have him behind Alvin Bragg. He made the opening argument. So I know you're not supposed to talk about him, but I have got this guy's number, and so do our viewers. And the same goes for Steinglass and Hoffinger and the rest of them. This was a crummy job. I do want to ask you this, within the limits of the gag. When you were looking at that jury, did you have a hunch ever? I noticed one day they came in, they didn't look at you. We don't want to, but did you have a sense of them? You got to see them. Could you read their body language, anything?
Well, I knew from the location. I mean, we asked for a venue change as soon as we heard this was the venue. because Republicans get virtually, very little vote. And it's a very, very liberal Democrat area. And so I knew we were in deep trouble. Of course, they'd only bring cases in areas like that. We wanted to be moved to Staten Island, where they just had a big party for Trump. But we wanted it to be moved to another part of New York where I can get a fair trial. I said, there's no way. You heard me say long before the verdict that Mother Teresa couldn't get a fair trial here. I said that. And no, you couldn't. I never saw a glimmer of a smile from the jury. No, this was a venue that was very unfair. It's a tiny fraction of the people are Republicans, and it's very unfair. And then we had a judge who was very unfair. We asked for a judge change. He said no. And, I think that's going to be one of the major points in appeal. And hopefully the appeal will go quickly because they're interfering with the election. If it doesn't go quickly, they're really interfering with the election. Now, with all of that being said, we're doing great in the polls, and we had a record-setting amount of money that was raised, numbers that nobody's ever heard of before, actually.
Well, we want you to be safe because, when Joe Biden and the deep state say you can't win, we can't let him win. Joe Biden said that to Time Magazine today. And Merrick Garland on Capitol Hill said basically it was dangerous to criticize the FBI when they have done a lot of things that, quite frankly, they need to be criticized, especially some of that language that was in the search warrant for Mar-a-Lago on August 8, 2022. It was not all boilerplate language. Some of that was very specific to that operation, and the language was chilling.
Well, it was, and it just came out, and a lot of things have come out in the Florida trial. And Jack Smith I think he's a deranged person, actually, and it's shown that in his other prosecutions over the years. He always goes too far. But when they raided Mar-a-Lago, that was a total violation of my constitutional rights. And all they had to do was ask. And you look at Biden, he had 50 years of documents, and he wasn't always, look, he was never the smartest guy, according to just about everybody. But he was always, he was not. They basically said that he's innocent because he's incompetent, okay? In other words, he can run for president, but he can't stand trial. Can you believe that? So we're going to let him run for president, but we'll exonerate him because he's incompetent. They said he's got no memory, got no this, got no that. We all know that anyway. But what it's so bad, it's making our justice system look so bad. The good news is the people get it, and I'm leading Biden by a lot, and we raised more money, I think, than has ever been raised in a short period of time. I don't think it's even close. And a lot of that money was small donor money. I think it was $71 average, $71. But we raised more money than, nobody ever saw. I think we did $58 million almost immediately after the verdict came out. But I did expect a verdict because the judge, when he made up this horrible charge, the instructions to the jury, many people, very smart. Look, we had Greg Jarrett and so many of the Andy McCarthy, Turley, Jonathan Turley, brilliant guys, incredible guys, Dershowitz, incredible people, Mark Levin, you know all of these people, all of the people from Newsmax. I actually didn't hear even Eli Honig from CNN. They were all 100% against this thing, and they said it was a horrible trial. It was a rigged trial because the jury instructions, as soon as that was said, numerous of these people said, wow, he just ruled against the president. Yeah. And this was a trial, by the way, Greg, this was a trial that nobody thought should even have been brought. And it was never going to be brought, except that I ran and took the lead. If I didn't run, I would be now in a nice location someplace enjoying life. But I'm enjoying life anyway because we're going to make America great again, and you're helping.
Thank you. And real quick, this guy, I think this is a prosecutor you're allowed to talk about. His name is Pomerantz. He actually put it in a book, how Bragg didn't want to prosecute, how this was a iffy case at best. And he said this in the audio version. If you can listen to this, he's talking about Weisselberg and the techniques that these prosecutors are using, the techniques and tactics. Check this out, Mr. President.
Kerry and I also discussed calling Weisselberg's lawyer to fire a warning shot over his bow. We could say that we might be coming after Weisselberg without specifying what we had on him, which was very little at that point. in the hope that he would get scared and fall into our laps as a witness.
You see that? It's
Amazing.
intimidation.
Horrible.
They admit to it.
Horrible.
It's crazy.
Well, they put
Mr.
him
President.
in jail. I mean, they put him in jail. Look, let me just tell you about this guy. This guy, his firm, and I think him, represented Hillary Clinton. He then left the firm, Paul Weiss. He left the firm, and he went to work for the prosecutor to get Trump. He specifically went to get Trump. How would you like to be in my position? Where a smart guy at a top firm, very Democrat firm, representing Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, decides that he's going to leave the firm, and I think for no money, he's going to go work for the district attorney in order to prosecute Donald Trump for something that he knew absolutely nothing about. They didn't know anything about. They didn't know, was there a crime? There was no crime. In fact, one of the things, the big defense is that everybody says is there's no crime here. There was no crime. The election law wasn't broken. The FEC, Federal Elections Commission, said we did nothing wrong.
It is incredible.
The Southern District said we did nothing wrong. Bragg said we did nothing wrong. Vance said we did nothing wrong. And then Bragg indicted us later and charged us. And then you had a judge that was so unbelievably, what he did is so horrible. And it's so badly hurting our Constitution, frankly. It's so badly hurting the state of New York, what he's done. But I had it done with two other judges, Judge Engoron and Judge Kaplan. This is a cabal. This is a terrible thing that's happening. Giving a woman that I have no idea, you know that case, no idea, other than the fact that she had a picture taken many, many years ago. I've never met this woman. I don't know this woman. And I'm supposed to pay a ridiculous amount of money for a fictional story. And Judge Engoron, I built a great company. The company turned out to be much better than anybody ever thought. And he fined me almost $500 million.
It's wild.
With nothing.
Mr. President.
And he's the one that's the fraud, because he said a house that's worth $1 billion or more is worth $18 million. Everyone's trying to figure it out. You know, you buy a piece of land in Palm Beach, it costs you $100 million. It's all the same thing. Honestly, it's a civil rights violation. I've had many, many great lawyers say they want to sue because this is a civil rights, problem. This is really, they've taken away your civil rights. But remember, it's about election interference. And that's what this is all about. It's election interference. And again, the judge is the most conflicted judge that anybody's ever seen. And I'm not allowed to talk about it because I'm under a gag order. Can you believe it? So that's the way it is. And we're going to win anyway. And we're going to win bigger and better. And it's possible that our numbers are better now than they were 3 weeks ago.
Finally, are you closer? Would you say you are closer to making a decision on vice president? And a lot of people ask me to ask about Nikki Haley. They think Nikki Haley would be, unifying. Personally, I know a lot of people who don't think that's the case. A lot of people don't think that's the case, but some do. Do you have anything to say about Nikki Haley, and anything to say if you are closer to making a decision?
Well, first of all, we have some unbelievable people, and you see who the people are. I mean, they've been out there, and it's very interesting. I thought Tim Scott didn't run as good a race as he's capable of running for himself, but as a surrogate for me, he's unbelievable. He's been incredible. Governor Burgum from North Dakota has been incredible. Marco Rubio has been great. J.D. Vance has been great. We've had so many great people out there. Ben Carson, so many great people. We have a lot of really people, but I think I'm going to hold it. As far as Nikki's concerned, I was very disappointed in her because she stayed too long.
So you saw that, you heard that. And ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you say, that's why I showed a video last night when Tucker Carlson had a talk with somebody from the CIA, and they pretty much said all this stuff, everything is fake, everything is made up. It makes you almost question our Constitution. Like, is our Constitution like for real and legit? Because if it is, under what circumstances can somebody tell you can't talk? I'm serious. And not only that, to obey. Oh man, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm one of those people. I don't know. Maybe my thought process is like, nobody's gonna tell me you better shut up. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. Well, Trump is under a gag order. If he says something about this, he can be what? And whatever it is, Trump, can he not tell somebody in secrecy what he wants to say and let them go and say it? Wouldn't that be so funny if Trump just trolled them back? Say, for example, if there's somebody, oh, y'all, this would be me. Let's say if I met, if I got with President Trump again, and President Trump went and he put his hand, he put his hand on my back and act like I was a puppet. And I started doing all the talking for him. This judge is crooked. He's donating. He's an a-hole. He's and making it like Trump is he's a ventriloquist. And I'm saying all the things Trump can't say. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Anyway, y'all, I just want to put this out there because I know that they're not going to show you guys what he's saying. And as much as Trump is trying, he's trying to really get as much messaging out there. Even right now from you guys hearing this, it's his form of also kind of campaigning, just keeping you informed of some certain things, right? Keep the energy going with him. I don't know how. Because even a young person like me, I would keep fighting back. But the thing is, Trump's a New Yorker. So they kind of got that rasp about them. I'm trying to say that grit about them. So probably, he probably enjoyed this. He probably enjoyed the fighting. He might be like me. I might not think about this when I was younger, and I still kind of am. I like fighting. Like physically, I liked physically fighting. Haven't done it in years, but I actually enjoyed it. I would be one of those people that if I wasn't in a position and doing things that I am right now medically, I probably would be somebody that you would know from being in the MMA or something like that. Anyway, let me think. Let me think. I'm not going to edit that. Let me know what you all think about this interview. Is there something in here that caught your ear that Trump said that you would like to pretty much, bounce some ideas off of? Whatever it may be, leave it in the comments below after this video. Click that before you get out of here. And if you like my content, make sure you do that and double check to make sure that you still are subscribed to the channel. Because trust me when I tell you, YouTube most likely unsubscribed you. Don't believe me? Go check it. I am Ty Smith, Model Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.